After completing the first two legs of our journey, first to Montana and then Vicksburg National Battlefield, this will be the third leg of our USA Rail Pass journey, and we are headed ultimately to Laurel, Mississippi, the home of the Hometown Show on HGTV. So after we leave Jackson, Mississippi, we came to Hazelhurst, Mississippi, known for an F4 tornado that went through Hazelhurst in 1969 and destroyed 175 homes and killed 11 people.
About 3,600 people live in Hazelhurst, and it's also the home of blues musician Robert Johnson.
Brookhaven, Mississippi is next. This was the site of a Union cavalry engagement in 1863, where Union Colonel Benjamin Grierson took a force deep into the South to disrupt Confederate supply lines.
It's also known for its historic architecture, and it looks like it's got a beautiful downtown, and it's been reviving lately with modern growth.
Look at all the cars in the parking lot. I mean, there's people are using it.
Yeah.
And they're out and about.
Great place.
A lot of water and swampland indicates that we are getting closer and closer to New Orleans. This is a baseball stadium, I'm guessing a minor league stadium for New Orleans. When you ride Amtrak, you get to see the backyards of people. It's not views that you normally get on major interstates and highways.
Yeah, we're going into New Orleans now. I think that's Highway 10 we're going under.
Jesuit Blue Jays. Got to catch another baseball stadium.
You can always find them.
And now we can begin to see the downtown skyline of New Orleans.
There's the Superdome.
Caesars Superdome. The train station is very close to where the Saints play, close to where the basketball team, the New Orleans Pelicans, play.
We have found the Superdome, and they have revived it from 20 years ago when I was there last. Looks really great. It did not look good 20 years ago after Katrina. It was a mess, but they have really done a good job.
As we come into the station, we see a
Pepsi can!
Siemens Charger locomotive for Amtrak.
So this is New Orleans, and it's a nice stadium. You traveled to New Orleans a lot as a kid, Brian. You want to tell them about that?
We did. My dad worked for the railroad and had rail passes. We rode the Kansas City Southern Belle, south to New Orleans a few times when I was very young, 5, 6, 7 years old. And recall walking the streets of New Orleans. That's a World War II museum. Lori is here on Canal Street. And we went to the French Quarter. Stopped to have a drink. Thought that was a beautiful hotel. It wasn't the one we stayed in. The one we stayed in was a Holiday Inn Express. The thing I remember about the train station in New Orleans, it looks very much the same as it did in the late 50s and early 60s, with the mural on the board and the ticket office arranged the same way as I recall in the 60s.
What train is that, Brian?
That's a Norfolk and Southern vintage coach, restored. New Orleans cemeteries, if you watch Easy Rider, are above ground and unusual.
They have to be because it's a below sea level town.
So we enjoyed our time in New Orleans, and now we're riding the Crescent toward. The Crescent runs from New Orleans to DC and all the way to New York City. And we're riding toward Laurel, Mississippi. I think it's about a few hours from New Orleans.
Yeah, it wasn't too far, 3.5 hours or so.
And Lori knows Slidell. This is Slidell, Louisiana. It's where she went after Hurricane Katrina to help rebuild.
Yeah, we went and helped a church that got flooded out, and we put in new drywall.
And it looks like they're renovating their train station in Slidell. Next up will be Picayune, Mississippi. It's known for, well, things you can do there are Crosby Arboretum, the Pinnacle Pavilion, and they have a Teddy Bear House Museum in Picayune. About 12,000 people live in this Amtrak-served city.
They started a newspaper called the Daily Picayune Newspaper, and it was named after a Spanish coin, and so that's how it got its interesting name.
After we leave Picayune, the next stop is going to be a sizable city of about 48,000 people known as Hattiesburg, Mississippi, home of Southern Mississippi University. And they have a few interesting things there. The Hattiesburg Pocket Museum, dubbed Mississippi's tiniest museum. It's a window display that rotates in an alley behind the Singer Theater. It has miniature exhibits and is surrounded by street art and scavenger hunts for alley cats. We have a place called the Lucky Rabbit, which is a 15,000 square foot marketplace famous for its elaborate recreations of TV sets like Stranger Things and, I'll spell it rather than say it, SCHITTS Creek.
In Hattiesburg is the William Carey University, which was interesting to me. He was one of the William Carey is known as the father of modern missions, and he founded the Baptist Missionary Society, and he went to India, and it was a really, really big deal. And so this university is named after him, but it looks like the university is followed the same route as other religious universities where they have lost their religious roots and are just a liberal arts college now. Our next stop is Laurel, Mississippi, and this is a little famous town made famous by Hometown. It's a HGTV show with a sweet couple called Ben and Erin Napier, and this is it's a little town in Mississippi that they've made over 100 places of business and homes. We toured the town, we walked around. Hey, I got my picture with Ben and Erin. Well, not really. I guess I had my eyes shut. But we also took a little red cab golf cart tour, and we were able to walk around this bazaar. It was very fun. We really enjoyed it. There's DJ, our guide on the tour, and we got to see the town. That's the Baptist church in town that Miss Pearl goes to, and one of these houses close by, within a block of there, was Miss Pearl's house. A bunch of these are houses that Hometown has redone, and they do beautiful work. And I guess we were a little surprised that so many of the people that originally had their work done have moved out. Some of them are for sale. Some of them are used as Airbnbs. That's the Laurel Rogers Museum, which has a lot of really good art in it. And anyway, a lot of these houses that we're showing are
They wanted a house with a
homes on
front
the
porch. They couldn't
tour.
find a house with a front porch, so they built a front porch on this house floor. Then the house right next door to it, it's also on the show. If y'all remember being in there arguing about this arch over the doorway on the first time they did this house, and they ended up putting a cop up there. Then they came back on last season, did it again. Added on the carport with the electric car charge back there. They had the yellow brick road back there, and screened in porch. Yeah, it go all the way through. They added on a little gate back there so they can just open it up and close it too. So it go all the way through now. And they say, this is our happy place. And they two favorite shows, y'all, is the Bonanza. I know y'all can see that. And then look on the porch by the windows, the Andy Griffith Show. Yeah, they got Andy and Barney up there. They call it the Euclid Ponderosa. Got their Texas Longhorns for their Texas heritage. Horse parking, the baby sheep and the mom and daddy sheep. Charlotte's Web with the words in the web and everything. And then Donkey from Shrek right there. And y'all see the gray house next door to it? Yeah. They were so pissed off about that. They moved out. They didn't like it at all. They said you can take that country crap back to Texas. They didn't have to, so they left out. Y'all remember the other architect where he hit the column and all the bees came flying out?
Yeah.
They had to call the beekeeper to get the bees out of the house, and they found the honey in the wall. That's it right there. Oh, man. This is his house they did for him. Y'all remember on his episode they wanted the studio in the backyard. Well, he wanted the studio in the backyard. They couldn't fit it back there, so they did him a pool back there instead on his episode and did his studio downtown. The stage, the 32-foot island, somebody furniture band did for him up there. And it's rumored that on that stage that they got up there, y'all, I don't know how true it is, but I heard they gonna put a stripper pole on the stage up there. That's what I heard now. And if they do, I'm gonna get some of my body butter and work. They got the Airbnbs at the top. That's more than late right there. But they got a small guy section in there too. I'm gonna let y'all know what I did with the ladies over there. Now I ain't do nothing like that now, but being in there and did that sign right. This is the hotel that we're working on right here for the show. There's gonna be a hotel at the top, cooking class, lobby area, shopping area at the bottom. That's what they're gonna do with it. Hotel had 32 rooms up there. 4 of them gonna be suites. The other 28 gonna be regular rooms, y'all. All right now. Piano and everything. You can buy some Mercantile and the Scotsman, but it don't light up no more. But they're gonna get it back working and everything like that. When they get done with all the construction there in the front on the roads and everything, they're gonna start back working on it. Now right here to our left, y'all, where we about to stop it now, is the Scotsman. But I gotta let y'all know about the Scotsman now. It wasn't always the Scotsman.
You see the Scotsman quite a bit on the show, and you see Ben in there working on his woodworking projects. It is right across from the train station. It's a very fun view. And you can go in, there's a general store, there's a snow cone shop, there's a place you can play cornhole and some other lawn games. And it's just a fun little family place to go to. There's also the billboard of Laurel that you can climb up the stairs and get your picture taken with that. I guess we're getting ready to go on the train to go home now. But the one thing we want to tell you about is after the tour, we were walking around downtown, and we ended up running into one of the artists that is often on the show, who's had his house done on the show, and they mentioned him on the tour. DJ just mentioned him a minute ago on the White House. His name is Adam Trust, and Adam, we were just walking, and I looked up and said, "Hey, that's the loft they did downtown." And Adam said, "Hey, how can I help you? I can answer any questions if you want to." And then we found out it was Adam. He was just really sweet, very friendly, and very kind. And it was at that point I wish we were at Adam's studio and Brian could have gone in and just really enjoyed his artwork. But really, it was a really nice visit to Laurel. The people were just fabulous, and hospitality was just all over the board there.
Yeah, they were very friendly. When we first got there, we normally like to find hotels walkable near the train station, but we ended up getting one a little more than a mile away, and
which is not really walkable.
But there were no after you get out of downtown, there were no sidewalks, and it was a warm day,
and it was a busy street.
And we were walking along, and this lady saw us. She got in her car and went to McDonald's and bought 2 large Sprites, and then pulled up to us and said, "I saw you two walking. It's a hot day out here. Have these 2 Sprites." And
It was just really sweet. We were about a block away from the hotel at that time, and we had been going uphill for a while, and it was just really appreciated. It was just such a kind gesture for 2 obvious visitors to the city that didn't know what was going on. We should have checked out the transportation a little better before we got there, but we didn't.
but people there were very, very friendly, from the taxi driver to the lady in the art gallery. Everybody we talked to. Now, the video you're seeing now, we're back on the city of New Orleans and traveling back toward Chicago. And we're on our way home from Chicago to Kansas City. We'll take the Southwest Chief. From there, we did notice the tracks on the city of New Orleans are fairly rough. They're about as rough as any tracks we've been on Amtrak. The tracks that are for the Lincoln service from St. Louis to Chicago those tracks are outstanding, very smooth, high speed. This was not smooth and not terribly high speed either. There was a noticeable difference.
Hey, I do want to mention we were just in Kankakee, Illinois. There's a college, a Christian college there. There was a train wreck, I don't know how many years ago, but probably maybe 10, 15 years ago. And the whole town gathered together, and they really helped all the people that had been on that train and were having issues, and they were helping everybody out. And it was just a good example of a community coming together and helping in a time of need. So train wrecks are not very common, just want to say that. But when they do happen, it's really great to have a wonderful community that's supportive and helpful to those involved.
Yeah, I believe train travel is safer than driving yourself. When you drive yourself, you really can't see the scenery around you. As you're sitting on a train, you can. You're not driving. There's no responsibility. You can look or not look, whatever you want to do.
Where are we at now, Brian?
Well, we're in Illinois. Somewhere past an
Train.
train.
That's kind of a fun thing, and it doesn't happen a whole lot.
Yeah, we're pulling into Chicago by where used to be Soldier Field, where the Bears play again.
And we also passed the area that was the World's Fair. What year was the World's Fair in Chicago?
In 1936.
So I'm not sure if we got that on camera or not, but that was kind of fun to see some of those old spots.
Yeah, I miss that. And what we see here is the South Bend and South Shore yards, railroad yards. I really relied on that company. When I worked for Amtrak, my second year I lived in South Bend and had to commute to Chicago to catch my trains and do my regular runs. And that's the train I rode to get from South Bend to Chicago.
So the train we take is an overnight train, so obviously we missed a whole lot of the cities because it was dark. So this is morning and we're...
Yeah, it's about 9:30 we get into Chicago.
Yeah.
On the city of New Orleans.
So Amtrak offers nice lounges, and some of the lounges in some of the cities are just outstanding. Chicago has one of those lounges. I think New York City has an outstanding lounge too. So even though we were on the USA Rail Pass, we actually had a coupon to get us into the Metropolitan Lounge in Chicago. And it's the difference between sitting on a wooden bench and sitting in comfort and being able to charge your phone. In Chicago, you have to pay for a charger, $8 a day to rent a charger if your phone needs a little charging up.
And that charger does not last a day. It might last you a few hours.
But it did last us. But we ended up going to the Metropolitan Lounge, and we enjoyed some snacks, a few drinks, sodas and water, and able to just relax and just enjoy. And
there's some wonderful Art Deco paintings in the Metropolitan Lounge. Look, they have TVs.
They're TVs. We don't watch the TVs normally, but
And a place to store your luggage. Also, if you want to walk around the city, you can leave your luggage there. Not on a coupon. You have to be a Pullman passenger to do that. But that's a good service as well.
we enjoyed it. So now, we're leaving the city? So
No, we're still coming in. And of course, you see the Willis Tower there, the tallest black building.
just close to the station too.
And so coming in from this direction from the south, this is actually a Y that we're on that turns the train around to go back into the Chicago Union Station terminal.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It's like, why are we going? Oh, we're on a Y. Okay, so it makes it much easier to get on the train, get the train going back to New Orleans on its next route. And that's a drawbridge. Isn't that a funny looking fella? Brian loves these train yards. I think he films them every time just because it reminds him of the days when he was working on Amtrak. Or was it called Amtrak back then?
Well, my first year I worked for Santa Fe, and it was Amtrak, but they had not taken over the cruise yet. 1974, they took over the cruise, and then after that, it was Amtrak. At Santa Fe, we just worked from division point to division point. The cruise, taken over by Amtrak, had you run the entire route. And they still do that. They still run the entire route. I know the conductors, we're talking about the chair car attendants. This is Fort Madison, Iowa. I wanted to film Fort Madison, Iowa. We've been through there a number of times, but you can see it on virtual rail cam. And these are the parts of Fort Madison that you can't see on the rail cam.
That's the Mississippi River right there. And so, what is Fort Madison known for, Brian?
It's a place where I missed the train one time when I was working for Amtrak.
Or it had
Well, actually, Santa Fe. The train master, his name was Charlie Pierce, told me I had more work after I got back from one round, and I asked him if I had time to run upstairs and call my parents, tell them I wasn't going to be home. He said, hurry, and I didn't make it.